So, in this lesson 12.1, we were identifying the substance of genes. We started with Griffith's experiment for bacterial transformation, and I think we have explained this more than twice or three times. Okay, injection of the mouse with the S strain, so the mouse is dead. With the R strain, the mouse is alive. With the heat killed S strain, the mouse is alive, but when he mixed the heat killed strain with the harmless strain, transformation happened between the S strain and R strain, so the R strain became S strain and killed the mouse. Then Avery, MacLeod, and McCarthy, they made experiment to determine the molecule that made the transformation in Griffith experiment, and they destroyed everything but the DNA, and yet the transformation has happened. So they figured out that the substance that is responsible for the transformation was the DNA. Then we spoke about the bacteriophage, of a kind of virus that infects bacteria by injecting its genetic material into the bacteria. And we knew the experiment, Hershey and the Chase experiment, when they radio labeled the DNA with phosphorus 32 so they can trace the DNA. They allowed the virus to infect the bacteria, and they found out that the virus has injected its DNA into the bacteria. Then, in another experiment, they radio-labeled the protein with sulfur 35. Okay, then they allowed the virus to infect the bacteria, and they found out that the sulfur 35 is found outside the bacteria. In this case, we found out that the virus has injected its DNA into the bacteria, and the virus has left its protein coat out of the bacteria. So the DNA that was injected inside the bacteria, this must be the genetic material. Okay. Then we spoke about telling that the genetic material is something like a book. When I'm speaking with you about your genetic material, your genetic material, like the book, it contains all the information about your cells. Like the book contains all the information. What are the properties of the book? What are the properties of the book? Like, what are the properties of your genetic material? Let me repeat this part. Hang on a second, please. Yes, here we go. If I told you what are the properties that must be in your genetic material? Now, the genetic material is something that is found inside your cells that carries all the information, that carries all the information. So it's in your cell here in the nucleus. You have the genetic material, the DNA. What are the properties of the genetic material? What is the role of the genetic material? It stores all the information about you, stores all the information. Like the book, a book stores information. Okay? The book stores the information about you. Sometimes the cell needs to divide into new cells, and before look 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chromosomes, these cells also must contain 5 chromosomes in each of them. So the genetic material must be able to copy your genetic material. So it stores your information and must be copied and transmitted to the daughter cells, transmitted to the new cells. These are the properties of the genetic material. Look, the genetic material must be able to store information, to copy information before cell division, copy the information before cell division, and to transmit information to the new cells or to the daughter cells. Genes are transmitted from one generation to the next. Okay, this is our lesson. I guess it's very easy. Do you have any questions in this part? Any of you, do you have any questions in this part? Okay, here we go. Hang on a second, please. I will upload the sheet to the site. Okay. Question
Okay,
please.
number 3. Okay, what was the purpose of Oswald Avery's experiments? Uh, Av-
Transfer.
okay, Avery wanted to find out which molecule in the heat-killed bacteria was the most important of for
Transform.
transform.
Excellent. Thank you, Abra. Say they wanted to determine which molecule in the heat killed bacteria was most important in transformation. Thank you, Bara. Boys, think about the next question. Hang on a second. Uh, I will lower hands. If you know, raise your hands, please. Nick.
Yes, Mister.
Hmm.
What experiments did Avery? He got the enzymes that killed that killed most of the heat bacteria. It killed bacteria
Oh,
and and uh,
the
and he tried to
transformation continue to happen.
yes, the continued to happen, but when he used certain enzymes to break DNA, the transformation didn't happen.
Great, exactly. So he destroyed every single substance in the bacteria except for the DNA, and yet the transformation continues to happen. And when we destroyed the DNA alone and everything else is still there, the transformation didn't happen. Thank you, Yannick. So he used enzymes that destroyed everything except for the DNA, and the transformation continues to happen. Here we go. The next question, Ziad. What did Avery conclude? Ziad, you lowered your hand. Mazen, Mazen Muhammad.
Yes, yes. What did every conclude? That DNA transforms genetic information.
Excellent. That the DNA is the genetic material that was transformed. Okay, so the DNA transmitted the genetic information. Thank you, MS. Next, in the first case, here radio labeled the DNA. So here the DNA with the radioactive label in the first case. So the next case, boys, what should I write down here? What should here I wrote DNA. What should I write here? Khalaf.
Yes, Mr. So it will be protein coat.
Exactly. The protein coat was either. Coat. Thank you. In the next case, the protein coat was radioactive labeled, and here the virus was let to infect the bacteria. Bacteriophage infects the bacterium. Okay. In this case, we found the DNA inside the bacterial cell. The radioactive labeled material, which was the DNA, was found inside the cell. And here, look, here we will put the same. Is it true? Boys, what do you think about the next case? Now we made it correctly. You are free to answer. Is there something wrong?
I think it is the same as the above one. Yeah.
Look again, يعني اوكي خلاص تمام.
They are exactly the same. I don't see any difference.
Where is the radio labeled material here? Where is the radio labeled material here?
Huh?
The radio labeled material, the DNA here is found inside the cell, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So the above one had a active material, but the second one didn't have radioactive material, right?
You have it inside, right? So it's
Yes.
outside, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Boys, do you get it? Here the DNA was radio labeled. Actually, this is the core of the substance, the experiment. The DNA was radio labeled, and we found the radio labeled DNA inside the bacteria. Here, the protein coat was radio labeled, and we found the protein code outside of the bacteria. Okay, what did Hershey and Chase conclude? Why? You know it? Do you know what it feels like?
Yes, I know.
Ah,
Yes. They included that the genetic material must be DNA because the change injected only DNA, not protein, into the bacteria.
exactly. Thank you very much. So they concluded that the DNA must be the genetic material because the phage injected only the DNA, not the protein coat inside the bacteria. Thank you, Ammo. Question number 8. Boys, where are the rest of you? Lai Ahmed. Boys, where are you? Bara, are you alive? Are you
Yes, mister.
ready? Ah, forget about this one and let's move to the next one. How did they confirm Avery's result? Hershey and Chase confirmed Avery's results because Avery said that the DNA is genetic material. Here they proved also that the DNA is the genetic material. Now, the DNA perform 3 functions. Bara, tell me the first function.
Okay, mister.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, the first function, okay, steering information.
Storing information. Thank you. Ahmad, where are you? Information. The second function of the DNA is copying information. Information. Okay. Okay. So the DNA must be able to store information, to copy information, and to, anyone knows? Ahmad Abbas,
Yes, Mr. Transmit information.
transmitting information. Thank you very much. Transmitting information. Why is this function important? Why is this function important? The DNA stores the information that makes up genes that controls everything inside the cell. So here we go. Another one and another one. Here we go. How can I not do it? The DNA that makes up the genes that controls everything in the cell, including development, growth, and how the cell will perform. All the characteristics of the cell are controlled by the stored information in the DNA. Okay, and the genetic material must be copied before the cell division. The genetic material must be copied before the cell division. Also, the last one, transmitting information from parents to the offspring, transmitting the information from the parents to the offspring. Huh. Great, thank you, Anim. Okay, So these are the answers. Examples like the book, if you remember, look. Here is the book. Hang on a second, let me show you. We have few minutes left, 3 minutes. Look, examples for storing the information, the instructions that cause a single cell to develop into an oak tree must be written into the DNA. After mitosis, copying the information, daughter cells has the same genes as parent cells. Examples of transmitting the information, the gametes of the parent oak tree carry information from parents to the offspring, so the offspring develops as an oak tree. So these are the cases or the properties that must be present in the genetic material. Look, here he is comparing the DNA to the buck. Storing information, how to be a cell contains all the information needed to direct the cell's activity. So you say that the box stores information like the DNA. The information must be copied like the book, and the information must be transmitted to the new offspring. Any problem in this lesson? I think it's now very easy, right? Any problems? Nigm, your hand is up. Do you have a question or you want to answer? Okay,
Oh no, sorry, I forgot it raised.
that's okay. Thank you very much. Boys, any problem? Any questions? If you have problems with the research or the project, boys, be sure to deliver the project. Okay, be sure to deliver the project, boys. Thank you and see you tomorrow. I guess we have another session tomorrow. Thank you, boys, and see you tomorrow, inshallah. Goodbye.